Hope you can see the screen. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, so we start with the continuation of optimization. Hope you can see the slides. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So last class we just started. Okay. So quickly I'll just go through the first slide. So gradient descent already we studied. So what is the need of gradient descent we had discussed. Okay. And so the formula, you should remember the formula and how the parameters is getting updated. So it's in the opposite direction of the gradient. That means the gradient is negative means the weight updation, its weight will be increasing, and the gradient descent, if it's positive means weight updation, it's in the opposite side. That means weight updation, weight will be reducing. Okay, that you should remember always. And we know that it's in the always our aim is find the local minimum of the loss function. That is always when we develop any application using the deep neural networks, minimum loss, we need to achieve the minimum loss. Okay, so this gradient descent, it helps to achieve the minimum loss. That means the weight updation always it moves in that particular directions. Okay, so remember the formula, how the parameter updation, the weight updation happens is the new weight theta, the new weight will be the old weight minus. Why it is minus? Hope you understood, because the negative, the gradient always it's a negative gradient. That means the gradient negative means we need to increase the weight. That's why here the minus is given. Okay, and this is a learning rate. So the gradient will be multiplied with the learning rate. Okay, so that decides why the learning rate also we studied, that decides the size of the steps. Okay, so maybe in this regions, okay, where we are away from the local minima, where we can take the bigger steps, but when we are above this region, that in the steep region, hope we can see the mouse pointer also, when we reach this particular region, the steps, that is the weight updation should be slow, so that we should not miss this local minimum. Okay, so that who will decide, the learning rate will decide the step size. So that also I showed you an example last class. Okay, and this is very very important, and your choice of your optimization algorithm, that decides your time completion. That means completing that particular application using deep neural networks, it may take hours or minutes or days. That's mainly based on this optimization algorithms and all. Okay, and here we add some of the concept with this gradient descent, so that it can accelerate the grade, that is optimization algorithm. That means it will accelerate and it can help to reach the converging, or that is the local minimum point, and helps to converge easily or faster. So which are those algorithms? So we can add the momentum, this ADA grad, Nestrev, ADA delta, RMS prop, Adam extension, all these algorithms we can add as an extension with the gradient descent, so that it helps to converge faster and it will move in the right direction. Okay, without missing the local minimum. Okay, it can accelerate and it can reach the local minimum faster. Okay, so we will look at some of this algorithm, like we are just going through momentum, Adam and RMS properly. So other than these things, many algorithms are there. So you can learn, you can just go through that algorithms and all. At the end of the slides, we had given many links. Okay, you can go through that links and you can read that contents. Okay, many algorithms are there, but according to your syllabus, we are just mainly explaining only 3 algorithms, which is commonly used. Okay, so the first one is momentum. Okay, so last class I told you momentum, it helps to dampen the oscillation and reach the converging point faster. That is, to achieve the local minimum faster, we use a momentum with the gradient descent. So other than gradient descent, we introduce another algorithm or concept called as a momentum. So you can see here the momentum, without momentum how it is moving to the local minimum, and with momentum how it is moving to the local minimum. So it is dampen that oscillations, that is many fluctuations fluctuations comes in the weight updations without momentum, only the gradient descent. That is, in gradient descent, we studied mainly three things: SGD, that is stochastic gradient, batch gradient, mini batch gradient. Okay, so most of the deep learning algorithms, it use SGD, that is stochastic or mini batch. Okay, so to accelerate those things, we use a momentum. So when we use a momentum, much fluctuations in the weight updation, it can be reduced. That's a dampen the oscillation means, and it can easily reach the local minimum point. Okay, so from the figure you can understand the difference. So now how this momentum helps, you can see. And momentum, in the case of gradient, what we were doing, we were considering the gradient of the past steps. Yes or no? The past steps gradient, we will be, that is theta. What is the formula? You remember the formula, right? What was the formula? So theta, that is the new weight. When you see multiple textbooks and all, maybe there will be change in the equation. Instead of theta, maybe W, all that things will be given, but understand the concept and relate it. Okay, so theta, that means new weight is equal to old weight minus learning rate into gradient. Okay, so each time we will be considering the previous gradient. We will be considering the previous gradient, but the momentum, it's not considering just the previous gradient alone. It will be accumulating all the previous gradients. Okay, momentum, you can see a momentum also accumulates a gradient of the past steps to determine which direction to move. So previously when we were using the gradient means, it just consider the previous gradient alone. Okay, that means we will determine the gradient, and based on that how to go, only that will be decided. Okay, that means we will decide, that is, what is the slope, okay, what is the magnitude, and what is its sign, negative or positive. Based on that, how the weight should be updated. Again, at the next point, again we will find the slope, and it will determine in which direction it should move. Only, that is, the gradient, it is found out, and how to move in the next step. So that will be decided in the case of gradient descent. But in the case of momentum, it is not only deciding based on the previous gradient, it is deciding based on which direction it should move. It is decided based on previous all the gradients. Okay, what are the value, it accumulates, and it will see that, and it will consider that value, and based on that it will be moving in the direction. Okay, so now we will see how the momentum updation it is happens. So SGD is stochastic gradient descent. It has trouble in navigating through ravines. That means ravines means it is the steep region of the curve. Okay, that is a deep portion, or the steep portion of the curve is called as a ravines. That means in SGD, when we use a stochastic gradient descent, it has trouble in traveling that region. Trouble in traveling that region means it should not miss the local minimum. So that means the weight updation becomes very slow. Because why very slow? Because it should not miss that local minimum point. I think everyone can mute. Everyone please mute yourself. Otherwise I'll mute all.
Ma'am, you are on mute, ma'am.
Okay. Now can you hear me? My microphone also muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll repeat. So this stochastic gradient descent, it has trouble in traveling at the deep or the steep region. Okay, why it has trouble? Because it should not miss. Yeah, tell me. Problem? Are you able to hear me?
Can you make it this audible? Yes, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes. Problem?
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Ma'am, she's asking to make everyone attendees, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. 1 second, I'll just do that. One second. Yeah, now I changed. I missed to do that today. Okay. So I changed that. I think now I am the presenter. So I'll mute all now. I'll share the screen. Yeah. Hope you can see the slides now. Okay. Yes or no? Please tell me.
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Yeah. So the stochastic gradients while traveling in the deep regions, it should not miss since it should not miss the minimum point, the weight updation will be very slow. So the momentum it is used to accelerate it. Okay. So momentum helps to accelerate the stochastic gradient descent. So how it is helping to accelerate and how it is considering the previous all the gradients. So we will look at the formula. So you can see the two formulas it's given. So please look at the second formula, that is theta is equal to theta minus Vt. How was the previous formula? You remember the previous formula, right? Theta is equal to theta minus the learning rate into gradient it was. Instead of that, now we introduce another one, theta minus Vt. So what is Vt? We will look at the next formula. What is Vt? So Vt is equal to, it is multiplied with a constant value gamma into the previous Vt. Okay, the gamma into previous Vt plus the remaining concepts, what that is remaining term what we discussed previously, that is learning rate into the gradient. So previously the formula was theta is equal to theta minus this term, that is learning rate into gradient it was. Instead of that, it is changed to Vt. So what is that Vt? The old Vt, it is multiplied with the this gamma, that is the momentum term, plus the previous term, that is a learning rate into gradient. So not only considering the learning rate into gradient, it is considering the previous gradient also. That's why this gamma into Vt minus 1. What will be the previous Vt minus 1? That is previous Vt. What will be the previous Vt? It will be, again, it will be having the previous learning rate into gradient term. Yes or no? So it is accumulating all the gradient descent. So previous all the gradient descent, it is accumulating. So the momentum term, it decides that how much it need to accumulate. That means the gamma term, that is momentum term, if it is 0.5 means 0.5 into previous Vt. Okay, the 0.5 into previous Vt means the previous Vt, how much you need to consider. Okay, 50% or 90%. So the momentum term usually it varies from 0.5 to 0.9. We can select, it's a constant value. So you can select the value from 0.5 to 0.9 and usually it will be selected as 0.9. And you can check that in which case the convergence will be faster. The momentum term you can vary, the learning rate value can vary, and check it. Okay, in which case how your algorithm is performing well, in which case it is performing well. All that things you need to experiment it. So momentum term, the gamma, it decides that okay, how much of the previous gradient, all the previous gradient it is accumulating. So from the formula you can understand that, because gamma into Vt minus 1, what will be the previous Vt? It will have again gamma into the previous Vt plus the lambda into that, not lambda, learning rate into the gradient. That means each time all the previous gradient it is trying to accumulate. Okay, it is continuously considering all that values. Okay, so how much it need to consider. So this coefficient that decides how much it need to be considered. The momentum term gamma, it decides how much it need to consider the previous value. Okay, so it usually we select the value from 0.5 to 0.9. So next one, so hope you understood how the momentum is considering previous all the gradients. Okay, so next another algorithm is RMS prop. It's a root mean square propagation. Okay, so in this case, in the case of RMS prop, how the previous values it is considered is, it is finding the average of squared gradients. Okay, so the previous all the gradients, it is considering all the previous gradients, but in a different way. Okay, in momentum, how it is considered the formula, we looked at the formula, but in RMS prop, this also consider the previous gradient, but it is finding the average of squared gradients. So we will look at the formula of RMS prop. So first we will, and one more thing is, in RMS prop, the learning rate value. So usually the learning rate value, it is a constant value. So here the learning rate value, each time the learning rate will be getting adjusted. Okay. So it will automatically, it will adjust the learning rate value. So we will look at the formula and try to understand how it is adjusting the learning rate value and how it is considering the previous squared gradients. Okay. So we will look at the second formula first, that is the new weight. Okay, theta t plus 1 means it is a new weight is equal to old weight minus. Please compare with the old formulas. How was the old formula? New weight is equal to old weight minus learning rate into gradient. Instead of that, how the formula is changed? It is learning rate divided by a particular value. So what is that value? EG square. I had written here, it is the average of squared gradients. Okay, so the learning rate, it is getting each time the learning rate will be updated as learning rate by the moving average of squared gradients. Okay, the previous all the gradients, it will consider its square root of the sorry, the square root of the squared gradients it will be considering, average of the squared gradients it will be considering, plus epsilon. Why plus epsilon is because sometimes when we find the square root of this particular term, that is square root of the average of squared gradients, when we find it, sometimes it will be nearing to 0. Okay, so sometimes if it becomes 0, what happens is the learning rate by 0. So you know that something divided by 0, it becomes infinity. To avoid that only, this epsilon value is given. Okay, to stop dividing by 0. To avoid that only, the epsilon value is given, and that is a very small value. Just to avoid the division with 0, introduced a concept called as epsilon. Epsilon usually it will be selected as a value 10 power minus 8. Okay, so it is somewhere in the next slide, it is given the epsilon value 10 power minus 8. Like that, the value will be selected. So why that epsilon value selected, I told you, because division, to avoid division by 0, sometimes this EG square, it will be nearing to 0. So suppose if it has reached 0 means division by 0 happens. To avoid that, this epsilon is used. So learning rate into gradient. So the same previous formula, old weight minus learning rate into gradient, but this learning rate, okay, each time it is automatically updated. So we had learned in RMS prop, it updates the learning rate automatically. So how it is updating the learning rate automatically is learning rate divided by this term is coming. Okay, so what is this term we will see? So EG square T, how this is calculated. So here also we have another coefficient or constant called as decay parameter. Okay, so that into EG square, that is previous sum of the squared gradients plus 1 minus gamma into GT square. So this is the EG square of T. It considers the previous squared gradients multiplied with a constant. Okay, so this constant, it decides how much percentage of the previous squared gradient should be considered. So if it has the value 0.5 means 50% of the previous squared gradients will be considered. If it has the value 0.9 means 90% of the previous squared gradients will be considered. Okay, so this gamma into this EG square of previous one, that is the sum of the squared gradients of the previous step plus 1 minus gamma into the gradient. Okay, GT means it is the gradient of the cos function. Okay, so this is the formula used in the RMS prop. So what are the two things you should remember in RMS prop is, one is the learning rate. Usually the learning rate, it won't get updated, always it is constant only, but here the learning rate, actually learning rate value, it becomes constant only, but in a different way we are telling that it's dividing by a value. So we can tell that the learning rate is getting updated automatically. How it is getting updated automatically? The learning rate divided by a particular term. So what is that term? It is the moving average of squared gradients. Okay, so to avoid the division with 0, another concept is introduced, that's epsilon. Okay, so the same old formula, but the divide by a particular value it's coming, how that value is determined. So it is the sum of the squared value. In the previous step, how much you got the sum of the squared gradients. Okay, a portion of that will be, that means portion, that means it is multiplied with the coefficient gamma, which varies from 0.5 to 0.9. And again, another term 1 minus gamma into GT square. Okay. So that is RMS prop. So this term, okay, you can see that how the formula got updated. Okay. So next one is Adam. So Adam, so and why this name is root mean square propagation? Hope you understood, because the learning rate, it is divided by the root of the mean square. So that's why the name is RMS prop, root mean square propagation. Okay, so because of that, we are finding the root mean square. That's why the name is root mean square propagation. Okay, so next one is Adam. Adam, it's called as the adaptive moment estimation. Okay, adaptive moment estimation, that's Adam. So it uses the benefits of both the one, that is RMS prop. It uses past squared gradients will be considered, and momentum it considers the running average of the past gradient. So this Adam, it will consider both. Okay, it will look at both the formulas and both the concepts together considered in Adam. That is the running average of the past squared gradients plus the running average of past gradients, what is used in the momentum. Okay, so both the things it is considered in Adam. So we will look at the formula. So what we will do is we will go to the main formula and we will come back to these things. Okay, so I'll go to the next slide and I'll show the last formula. So you can look at the last formula. Okay, so this is our basic formula. Okay, what we learn in the gradient descent. The new weight is equal to old weight minus, how was our old formula? Please remember it. The new weight is equal to old weight minus learning rate into gradient it was. Okay, how it is changed in Adam we will see. New weight is equal to old weight minus the learning rate. Okay, divide by VT cap plus epsilon. I told you what is the need of epsilon. Then MT cap, it's multiplied with MT cap. So we will look at what is this VT and what is this MT. Okay, so now we will go to the other formulas. Okay, this is our basic formula. So now we will go look at the other formula and what is this MT and VT we'll see. So MT cap, it's equal to MT by 1 minus beta 1. Okay, VT cap is equal to VT by 1 minus beta 2. So what is this beta 1 and beta 2 we will see. So we will go to the previous formula, first page formula. Okay, so beta 1 and beta 2, these are some constant which usually has a value. You can see here beta 1 will have the value 0.9 and beta 2 usually have the value 0.999. And I told you the epsilon, usually it has the value 10 power minus 8. It's a very small value just to avoid the division by 0. For that purpose, the epsilon is used. So beta 1, beta 2, these two constants, it has a value 0.9 and 0.99. So now we will look at the next formula, that is MT and VT. So here you had observed MT cap, how you are finding. MT by 1 minus beta 1. So beta 1 value you got it 0.9, beta 2 value got it 0.99. Now what is this MT and VT? How to find this MT and VT? We will look at the next formula. So MT is equal to beta 1 into old MT. That is last time how you calculated the MT. So that one plus 1 minus beta 1 into the gradient. Okay, this GT is the gradient. Okay, so VT is equal to beta 2 into VT, the minus 1, that's a previous VT, plus 1 minus beta 2 into GT square. So this is like a RMS prop. Okay, so you had seen here that Adam, it look at the RMS prop and it get the running average of the past squared gradients VT. You can see here what is the explanation in running average of the past squared gradients VT. So that only here in the formula you can see here GT square that finds the average of the squared gradients, and you can see here this is same like momentum. This formula MT, it's same like momentum. It look at the running average of past gradients. Okay, so you will be considering each step since it is MT minus 1. So in the previous MT, you have another gradient, right? Yes or no? again that will have again another mt minus 1, that will have again another gt. So that means in all the steps you are looking at the past gt. So it is the running average of the past gradients, but here in the vt you can see it is the running average of past squared gradients. Okay, so this mt and vt, it is same like mt it is like momentum and vt it is like rms prop. So both in Adams it is considering both running average of the past squared gradients and the running average of the past gradients. So both will be considered, and this beta 1 beta 2 it decides that how much percentage it should be considered, the previous steps how much percentage it should be considered. It's a 0.9, usually we take the value, it's a constant 0.9, and beta 2 it is 0.99. Okay, so that's a formula for Adams. And most of the, for solving this deep learning algorithms and all, we use this Adam optimization algorithm. And it is an extension of stochastic gradient descent. Extension of stochastic gradient descent means, I told you, usually we use the stochastic gradient descent or mini batch gradient descent as a optimization algorithm. So in we learned that in SGD it has in the deep or the steep regions of that curve in the loss function, it will be updating the weights very slowly. That means it has trouble in traveling that particular region. Okay, so these algorithms, this momentum, RMS prop, Adams, it is used to accelerate that. Okay, so Adam is the popular algorithm in the field of deep learning. Okay, because it always achieves good results and it can effectively solve all the practical deep learning problems. So when you do your project, you will be understanding. So you can experiment with this one, whether Adam is proper for your application or RMS prop or momentum or anything else you need to use it. Okay. So Adam is the currently recommended as the default algorithm to use, because in deep learning most of the time for most of the applications Adam will be suiting. Okay, so some of the advantages of benefits of Adam it's given, you can go through this one. Okay, it's a straightforward to implement, it's computationally efficient, memory requirement is very less. Okay, and well suited for most of the problems. Okay, and if we have large data and noisy data or sparse gradients. Okay, so sparse means it is like a scanty data, that is very less number of data we have in all that cases and all, or scattered. Sparse means scattered and scanty. So in that case and all, you can use this Adam algorithm. Okay, and all these yeah, tell me.
I had a question.
Yeah, tell me.
With the momentum, you said it reduces the oscillations.
It dampen the oscillation. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, but
All
for
these
RMS prop seems like very similar to momentum. Is there some use, like separate use for RMS prop?
Yeah, all these things actually, all these algorithms, you can see here SGD, momentum, NAG, ADAGRA. So all these things, it is trying to accelerate. Okay, when we use with the SGD, it is trying to accelerate and it is trying to dampen the oscillation. But the rate of reducing the oscillation and how faster in reaching the convergence point. So there will be, when they use a different concept, they had used different concepts in the formula. One is using the just the all the previous gradients they are looking at, and some this RMS prop it's using the squared gradients. So when they use the previous gradients, okay, in a different way they are trying to use the previous gradient. So there will be a change in that one, achieving the convergent point. So some cases for some application this momentum will be suiting, for some application RMS prop will be suiting. So that you need to actually experiment and learn. So whichever applications you are selecting and what kind of data you have, so based on that it varies actually, because each one you had observed the formula, right? In SGD, in momentum, how it considered the previous gradient, it was just finding the average. That means each step it was considering the gradient. Okay, so then but in RMS prop, how it was considering, it is a root mean square method. Okay, so how they are looking at the previous gradient, how much portion of the previous gradient should be involved in the new formula. So all that things, it varies in each method. Okay, all these things it is to accelerate and to reach the convergence point easier only we are using. But how it behaves based on the data. Okay, all that things it varies based on that. That is based on your application. Actually, you will be selecting. That means you will check with the Adam and check how your application is working, whether it is have the faster convergence or not. Then you may change it and check whether RMS prop how it is working. Then maybe momentum, or we have many other algorithms we have. So how all these things are behaving for your application, for your data, how it is behaving, are you achieving the faster convergence or not? All these things, when you do the project, you have to experiment and learn. Hope you understood.
Yes, ma'am. So there is no way to tell beforehand. It depends on the data only.
Beforehand means based on the form.
With
Based on the
some
formula.
concept, I can say like, oh, okay, Adam works better for these cases. Or
Yeah.
something like
Now,
that.
currently, most of the deep learning applications, you can see that they will be using the with the gradient. You will be using Adam as Adam. You will be using. But certain cases, we can see last time also when the students implemented, we will be asking which optimization algorithm you had used. So most of them would have used Adam, but some of the students they had used other things. So why you had selected that means maybe compared to Adam for their application, for their data, maybe the other RMS prop may be working better. That may be giving a better convergence. So they will be using RMS prop. Okay. And what is the difference in RMS prop and momentum? You would have understood. Momentum is just using the previous, all the gradients it is trying to use. But in the case of RMS prop, so you can see in the momentum, gamma into Vt minus 1. So previous gradient, that is in the previous formula also, this gradient will be coming. So previous gradient also it is considering and adding. So that means all the previous gradients, it is keep on adding, cumulative sum. Okay, it is keep on adding. But in the case of RMS prop, you can see it is the squared, okay, average of the squared gradients it is using. So it is keep on adding the squared gradients. Okay, so that difference is coming. So when that difference is coming, okay, how it is behaving for your data, that you need to experiment and learn. Hope you understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you can see here this SGD plus Nestro, that is again another alternative for Adam. So you can experiment all these things, how it is performing. Okay, SG, that is with the stochastic gradient. When we use Adam, okay, instead of using Adam, you can use this particular algorithm also, this particular optimization technique also. Okay, so all the other formulas we had given here. So you need to study the formula for whatever things we taught, that is Adam, RMS prop, and the momentum. Okay, so whatever we taught, you need to study the formula. Okay, so understand and study the formula. So you can see here for the sparse features, that is scattered and scanty data if you have. Okay, in that case and all this ADA-grad, ADA-delta, RMS prop, Adam, all these things particularly used for the sparse features. Okay.
Ma'am?
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, you told that the SGD has a steep region, no, ma'am? Like
No,
in the
not SGD has steep region.
cost
Our
function.
cost function curve
Cost-
has a steep region. So SGD has trouble in traveling that steep region. Why trouble in traveling that steep region? Because weight updation, when it becomes more, sometimes it may have the chance to miss the local minimum. So it will be slowly traveling that particular region, because the steps what it takes, the weight updation it takes, it will become slower at that particular region. So these things, it helps to accelerate that without missing that minimum point.
Okay.
You
Ma'am,
understand?
what about the
Tell
other
me.
algorithm? What
Yeah,
about
tell
the
me.
other algorithms, ma'am? The bats and mini bats. They do not have a. They also have the same
They also,
problem.
everything has problem, but why they looked at SGD is, I told you, SGD is the most widely or most frequently used algorithm in deep learning. Somewhere it has said. So since SGD is mostly used with the deep learning, most of the deep learning applications, that's why they are pointing out SGD and telling. SGD, you know that with each samples, immediately after each samples, the weight updation happens. So that way only you also solve the problems that way only. So usually we use the SGD, but SGD has again some problems like since frequent weight updation happens, the estimation cost, it will be increasing because complexity, there will be complexity in calculation. Okay, so instead of that, maybe we can use a mini batch also. Mini batch means instead of each sample, we may increase the batch size, maybe after 2 samples or after 4 samples or 16 samples, like that we will decide the batch size. So mostly this SGD or mini batch it is used. That's why everywhere they are telling with the SGD plus, because that is the mostly used gradient descent algorithm. Okay, though other things has a problem, since in deep learning, for the deep learning problem, since SGD is used, that's why they are explaining with SGD.
Yes.
You understood? Yes,
Yes.
or no? Oh. Okay, so at the end of the slide, you can see many of the links are given. Please go through that one. Okay. And another thing here, it is given which optimizer to choose. One of you asked, no, like whether RMS Pro. So all these things based on your data or based on which application, whether you have sparse features, then which one I should use, whether ADAM I should use or this one I should go. So all these things you will be deciding based on your application or based on your data. Okay, and you can experiment it. It's a kind of trial and error. So you need to check. You need to use ADAM, you need to use RMS prop and experiment, and you should try to understand which has a faster convergence rate in your case, for your application. Okay. So I'll go to the next slide. Hope you understood. Yes or no? Yes or no? All of you understood with these concepts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So shall I start the next one? Another term, that is regularization. I'll try to complete it now. We have 10 more minutes, right? So what is regularization? So maybe usually the data scientists or the statisticians, usually they talk about the terms called as penalty or regularization or shrinkage. Usually in statistics, they use the term shrinkage, and in the deep learning and all, we use the term regularization penalty. So what is this regularization, or what is this penalty? Why we need to give the penalty? Okay, so most of the machine learning or deep learning algorithm, it should learn only the pattern. Okay, that means it should learn whatever the data it's given. Based on the data it should learn, but it should try to understand if there is any noise present. The learning algorithm should understand this is a learning and it should ignore that. But certain cases the algorithm, it won't be able to understand this is a noise, and what it will do is it will try to learn that noise also. So what happens, it will do the misclassification. Yes or no? You understood? So the machine learning algorithms or the deep learning algorithms, it should learn based on the data, but maybe sometimes in the data there may be some noise will be present. So maybe like I have a data like for classifying the grades. Maybe I had given the grades like marks like 90 means O grade, 92 O grade, 93 O grade. So maybe some data I had given wrongly, that is 40 is O grade. Okay, all other data is correct, but 40 is O grade also. I had given that is one noise only. But when the learning algorithm, when we give the training, it should understand that. So most of the values, it is above 90 only, it is classified as O grade. But there is an noisy data, that is 45 is also given as O grade. So if it is the learning algorithm is not trying to understand that, and without understanding it is trying to memorize that, okay, 45 is also O grade, it is trying to memorize. So what happens later when I give the value 45, it tells O grade. So what is the problem in that one? It didn't learn properly. Okay, so when we are human beings means when we learn, okay, 90 above is O grade, maybe some noise is there above 45 also I had given O grade means maybe since we are human beings we will think and understand, okay, maybe the data whatever given it would have been wrongly they would have entered, that's why 45 is also O grade it is given, that may be wrong data, so you will try to clarify whether the data what is given is it correct or not. But the machine learning algorithm, so if a perfect learning algorithm means it will try to learn from that, but sometimes the learning algorithm if it is not correct means it will learn that noise also, and it is instead of learning properly it will try to memorize. Okay, so it should ignore that noise. Okay, so regularization, it is a method to give penalty for that noise. Okay, that means if any noise is coming and it is trying to learn, that means it is trying to give a particular penalty for that one, so that it can avoid that particular, it can avoid the learning of that particular noise. Okay, so the learning that noise also, that is called as the overfitting. So this regularization try to avoid this overfitting. Okay, so what is overfitting? I'll just show with an example. You can see here this diagram. You can see this blue color things, it shows your data samples. Okay, so if it is a perfect learning algorithm means you can see in the green color, it is trying to fit the curve, okay, which almost pass through all these data. Okay, so it is trying to fit a curve which almost trying to pass through this data. But you can see the red color, what it is doing, it is trying to learn everything. Okay, it is going through all these blue, that is the data samples, it's going through all these things. That means it is trying to imitate or trying to memorize the entire thing. Okay, so sometimes if any noise is present, what happens, the noise also it will try to learn from the noise also. Okay, so we don't want that way, we need a perfect algorithm which learns from the data and it try to understand what is the noise, and it should try to avoid that noise. Okay, so overfitting means the red color thing, it shows the overfitting. Okay, hope you understood. The red color thing, it shows the overfitting. So overfitting means sometimes when we train with more and more data, and if there is any noise present, the learning algorithm try to learn that noise also. So that is called as the overfitting. So you know that sometimes the people when we study, okay, so some people will study more, that means they will be just studying the exactly the same thing. Okay, they are not trying to learn, sometimes they will by heart everything. So if the questions later, if the questions if it is asked the same exactly the same thing, they will be able to perform. But suppose if we deviate or sometimes we twist and ask, they may not be able to answer it. Why? It is because they had just memorized everything. So if the same thing is asked means they will be able to perform. But if it is twisted and asked, that means then in that case they may not be able to perform. Why? Because they didn't learn anything. They were trying to memorize. They were trying to by heart everything. Okay, so the same thing, if it is exactly the same thing, if it is asked means they will be able to perform. But if the out of the box we ask something else, extra we ask means they may not be able to perform because the learning is not happened there. Okay, only the memorizing is happened. Okay, so hope you understood what is overfitting. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can see here the overfitting, and there is another concept called as underfitting. Underfitting means if we don't have sufficient data, okay, then the underfitting will happen. So if we don't have sufficient data means maybe for classifying grades, I have very less data. I had just given 2-3 samples above 90, 92 O grade, 95 O grade. That's all. Then another grade 82 A plus, something like that. I'm giving very less number of data and giving the training to the algorithm. So it may not be able to learn properly because the number of data what is given is less. So that is called as a underfitting. Okay, so in that case, underfitting happens. Underfitting means most of the things it will misclassify. You can see here, this is the classification means the green color also it's going on the other side. So the other one you can see this curve, it is almost appropriate fitting. Okay, this is the overfitting. You can see that correctly the curve is going to learn that thing. Sometimes this may be noise. Okay, so it is trying to learn that noise and trying to fit. That is called as a overfitting. Okay. So what our regularization is doing, it is trying to prevent the overfitting and it helps the optimization. Okay, so this is regularization. It tried to introduce a penalty to prevent this overfitting and it helps in optimization. Okay, so how this penalty will be given. So we will see how the penalty is given. We will see. So the regularization, what is regularization? It's given. It's a technique to penalize the complex model. That is to define a penalty function to quantify complexity of the model. Okay. So we will see how it is going to penalize or how it is going to give the penalty. Okay. So this is your coarse function. Okay. So J of W is equal to some coarse function. Okay. So the coarse function, what is your previous formula plus a penalty term is introduced. Okay, so with your previous cost function or the loss function, with that a penalty term will be introduced. Okay, so the lambda into that, lambda is a regularization coefficient. It is called as a regularization coefficient into that penalty term. Okay, so the lambda decide that how much it should be penalized, whether it should have more penalty, whether it should have less penalty. All these things will be decided by this regularization coefficient. So lambda value, if it is 0.1 means, okay, it is giving less penalty. 0.9 if I am giving means it is giving more penalty. So this lambda value, it decides that how much penalty should be given. Okay. And here you can see the term shrinkage. It is mostly used in statistics. In machine learning and deep learning, we use a term called as regularization. Okay. So this technique of adding a complexity term to the error term or error or cost function to eliminate very complex function is called as a regularization. So what is regularization? It tried to avoid the overfitting by introducing the penalty, by giving a penalty. But okay. So this is a cost function. So this actually, when you see different textbook and the websites, when you read it, the formulas actually, whatever the term it is used, it may be changing. Okay, but try to understand. So this beta is representing the weights. This beta is trying to represent the weight only. Okay, so you can see here, this is a cost functions. Okay, whatever may be the cost function. Now we are just learning about the regularization only. So this is a cost function plus the cost function plus lambda into this is the penalty term. So beta is a weight, means you know that how you find out the activation function, that is x, each input into weight you will multiply plus bias, then you will apply the activation function. Okay, and this is the actual output, means actual minus the predicted. Okay, so that when you find out and it's a square, all that things, when you find out, you will be getting the cost. You would have learned some cost functions. Okay, that cost function plus the penalty term. So the penalty term, the coefficient lambda, it decides how much it should penalize, and this is the sum of the weights. Okay, sum of the square of the weights. Okay, so that is called as a penalty term. Okay, so you can see here, this lambda, it decides the how much should be penalized, and we call it as a hyperparameter. Okay, so we will be learning many hyperparameters. So this hyperparameter, why it is called as hyperparameter is, we will tune this hyperparameter. When we use in deep learning hyperparameter tuning, we will be asking, did you do the hyperparameter tuning? So what is this hyperparameter tuning means? This lambda values, many things in deep learning, you will be changing and you will be checking whether are you converging faster or not. Okay, so this lambda is one of the hyperparameter where you tune that values of the lambda. Tune that values of lambda means you will change and check it. Okay, 0.1, when that is you are giving less penalty, then your learning algorithm, is it learning properly? Okay, I will increase the penalty 0.2. Okay, how your learning algorithm is performing, or whether I should give more penalty for the noises so that my learning algorithm will perform better, whether I should give 0.9 or not. So higher lambda value will more harshly penalize. Okay, so usually the lambda value you need to vary, you need to tune that lambda values according to your data and application what you select. Okay, so this the lambda value can be decided best based on this cross validation. So what is cross validation? We will be studying in the next class. Okay, so based on that the lambda value can be decided. Okay, and there are different kinds of this regularization techniques. L1 regularization, L2 regularization, dropout regularization. So what is this L1 regularization is lasso regularization, that is least absolute shrinkage and selection operator regression. So this is one of the regularization technique, that is L1 regularization technique, that is called as a lasso regression. So in lasso regression, how it calculates the penalty, you can see what it is doing. It is just finding the sum of all the weights, absolute value of all the weights, its summation. That is called as a that is the penalty term in lasso regression. That is L1 regularization. In L2 regularization, it is called as a ridge regression. In that you can see the absolute value square. It is found out and its sum and the square root. So square root of the sum of the squares of all the weights. That is the L2 regularization term. So that means in two regularization techniques, okay, how the penalty term is introduced. In first one, how the penalty term is introduced, it is just a sum of all the absolute weights. The second one, ridge regression, how the penalty term is introduced, it is the square root of the sum of the squares of all the weights. Okay. So just it is showing that what is y cap, our old formula, w1x plus w2x2, all that things plus bias. But how how it changes in the case of regularization. Okay, the lowest function, normally it is error of y comma y cap. But when we introduce a regularization, how it changes, we are adding an extra penalty term. Okay, in the first regularization method, it is lambda into sum of all the weights, absolute value. The second one, lambda into sum of all the weight square, its root is also there. Okay, that is the second term. Okay, so that's all. So mainly we are looking at two things, L1 regularization and L2 regularization. Only that only I explain. Okay, so hope you understood what is regularization. Okay, it is trying to avoid this overfitting. How it is trying to avoid the overfitting? It is trying to penalize, giving a penalty and trying to avoid the regularization, sorry, overfitting. So what is overfitting? I told you, overfitting means when we give more and more training, what happens is it will try to, instead of learning, it try to memorize. Okay, it try to learn from the noise also. That is called as overfitting. Okay, instead of not only the data, if any noise is there, it is not trying to recognize that's a noise. Instead of that, it is trying to learn that noise also. Okay, then what happens? Our algorithm won't perform better. So in that case, what we need to do is regularization. It try to give a penalty. Okay, so it try to avoid overfitting by giving a penalty. So how the penalty is given? So loss function, whatever may be the loss function you are using, plus a penalty term is introduced. So that penalty term, how it is decided? We have two types of regularization. One is L1 regularization, other one is L2 regularization. In L1 regularization, the penalty term is sum of all the weights. L2 regularization, it is the sum of all the squares root. Okay, so that is the difference, and it is multiplied with a lambda. The lambda is also called as a hyperparameter, and hyperparameter tuning we can do. That means the lambda value we can vary and check how it is performing for your algorithms or for your application and for your data. Okay, so that's all. Thank you, students. So if any doubt you can ask, otherwise you can leave. I think I exceeded the time. And hope you know the T1 portions, Q1 portions, everything. Okay. Yeah, tell me any doubt.
Jyotsna, I will once again.
Yeah, ma'am. Tell, ma'am.
I will once again tell them regarding the T1 portions because I'm
okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Joined very late.
Okay, okay. Okay, ma'am. Yeah, you can tell, ma'am.
Yeah, the portions have been shared in the Teams class. You please go through it. The maximum mark is 30 as mentioned by DCOE. So you can refer to the portions and the timings, everything is shared in the timetable given by DCOE. And regarding the pattern also, I have shared 2 model question papers. You can solve it and work out. So it will be a mix of numerical, mostly numericals, and little bit theory questions here and there. So totally it is for 30 marks. And Thursday I will do PCA. For PCA also I have shared one more slide recently. You can look into that. So please review the matrix concepts. Once again, how to calculate the variance, covariance, and then eigenvector, eigenvalues, everything for a matrix. Okay, and also when you want to solve how to find the vector, you will be knowing the row echelon form or Gaussian elimination or Gauss-Jordan elimination method. So please have a recap on that and then come. Okay, thank you. Let us meet on Thursday first hour. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you all students. So if any doubts, you can ask, otherwise you can leave.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.